Hi, this is Emma Hemming-Willis.
And I'm Helen Christoni.
Welcome to our Make Time podcast. We are two women on a mission to uncover the secrets of making time for everything.
From work and relationships to our brain, body, and beauty, we'll explore it all and share it with all of you.
We interview experts so we can discover more practical tips to make time so we have more time for our family, friends, and ourselves.
So join us as we chat with incredible guests who share their expertise on all the ways we can learn to make time, especially for you.
Okay, it's time to make time. Dr. Kellyann Niotis is a pioneering preventive neurologist focused on reducing risks for neurodegenerative disorders like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and Lewy Body Dementia. Dr. Niotis trained at NewYork-Presbyterian, Weill Cornell Medical Center, and was chief resident and completed a fellowship at Mount Sinai. She directed the first Alzheimer's prevention clinic in the U.S. and now leads research at the Institute for Neurodegenerative Diseases of Florida. Her work, published in leading medical journals, aims to identify early risks and personalize interventions for those at risk. In this episode, she gets into how to keep our minds sharp. So let's make time for Dr. Kellyann Niotis. Hi, Kellyann, and welcome to the Make Time podcast. We're so happy to have you on today.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
So, Kellyann, I know that you are all about preventative neurology, which I love. I met you through Dr. Richard Isaacson, who really taught me all there is to know about brain health, which is a term and concept I had never learned before. And I know that you share his same ideas and philosophies. Is that correct?
Yeah, he was my mentor. I worked with him for many years at Weill Cornell at the Alzheimer's prevention clinic there. But I have a little bit of a different background in that I also did a fellowship in movement disorders. So learned all about Parkinson's disease and Lewy Body Dementia, which are other forms of neurodegenerative diseases that are related to Alzheimer's. And can have or share similar driving risk factors. So we came together as a team and really got the clinic off to where it is today.
That's amazing. And, so for our audience today, and, they're just made up of mostly women, maybe some guys out there, and they're all so busy. They've got so much stuff going on. And I would love to hear, what is the most important thing as it relates to brain health and keeping our brains sharp that we should be making time for, and why?
That's a really great question. And there's no perfect answer because it really varies based on the person and what an individual's risk factors are. And people really think of the brain as a very complex organ, but it isn't really that complex. It needs really two things to be happy and healthy. It needs food or fuel, so that comes in the form of blood flow to the brain, the nutrition that we eat, and it needs activation. And activation comes in the form of sensory stimulation that can come from our sense of sight or sense of hearing, but also cognitive stimulation. I get asked all the time, what should I be doing to keep myself sharp day to day? Should I be doing puzzles? Undoubtedly, you've heard that you should pick up a musical instrument or learn a foreign language. But let's be real. How many busy women or people out there have time to pick up a musical instrument on the regular? If you do, that's fantastic. More power to you. But it doesn't have to be so complicated or so time intensive. There are lots of ways that we could stimulate our brain day to day. Some things to think about that are really easy are reading. Leisure reading is a really great way to wind down at bedtime. You challenge yourself by reading different prose or a different genre of novel that you otherwise wouldn't typically read. It really adds to your cognitive reserve. If you like journaling, that's also a really great way to incorporate something super simple into your daily life. And then, of course, spending time with our friends and family. That's a form of stimulation that most people don't think about, but it's so impactful, not just for cognitive reserve, but also maintaining social connectiveness is key to brain health and key to stress reduction.
You know what I love about this is that, I mean, this is the whole thing about brain health that I think is fascinating, is that it actually really is so simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And all these ideas that you've just given to the audience and myself is fun, right? Like staying engaged and reading a book and like mindfulness, really. I love that because brain health shouldn't be scary and it's accessible, which is fabulous, I think.
Emma, that's so key. I think finding something that you enjoy is really the most important thing, because if you don't like picking up a musical instrument, you're never going to stick with it. It's always going to feel like a chore to you. So picking an activity that really does feel enjoyable and feels like it's reducing your stress is the key.
So we always love to ask, for some really actionable tips, like how do you suggest that our audience make time for all the things that you just listed? And how do you do it?
Yeah, so I think it's about keeping a really consistent schedule. The reason I suggested, for example, picking up a book 10 minutes before bedtime is because, everyone needs a nightly wind down routine. If you have your book at your bedside and you know that this is what you're going to do, it puts you into the state where you're ready to relax and to sleep. I think that's really an important way to maintain consistency and really make time. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. I think that's the other piece of this, that we assume that, we're so busy and how could we fit another thing into our life? Well, don't try to fit another thing into your life. Find something that doesn't feel like you're having to fit it into your life.
Ladies, we want to invite you to join our Make Time movement to prioritize your brain health. The Make Time community empowers women to focus on making time for themselves and will provide you the tools and resources you need for your brain, body, and beauty in that order. Your brain is your most valuable asset, and it's time we all treat it that way. Join us at maketimewellness.com. It's interesting that you say that because, I was just telling Emma that my Oura Ring has been really mad at me lately, and I feel like it's just a busy season for me right now. And I go from nonstop, stress-packed day, and then it's time for bed, and I can see, just from whatever vitals that my Oura Ring's picking up, that it's just saying that you're under stress. My resting heart rate isn't good. It's taking too long for me to really get into my sleep. And I could just see that picking up a book just for 10 minutes would really help me come down a little bit, because it's fight or flight to bed. My body's probably what is happening? So I love that advice.
The unwinding. I was reading a lot before I would go to sleep. But now I'm journaling.
I love that.
I'm writing a little more just to kind of go from the fight or flight to just taking a moment, being mindful, reflecting on my day. And that really there's just a nice transition, but it's about, the journaling part, I just feel was a choice and seemed like something that I really wanted to start to do. It's not a chore.
Right. Yeah. And everyone has stress, and people think, oh, stress, it's such a bad thing. It's actually not such a bad thing. Our brain needs stress. Our body needs stress. When we're stressed, we have more focus. We actually can learn more, take in more of our environment. But it's really when our stress hormones don't phase down or don't quiet down that stress really becomes a problem. So in your case, Helen, I think your stress hormones are not coming down, and it's when it's keeping you up at night that you realize that, wow, stress can really have such a negative impact on my whole body, but especially my brain.
What does your wind down routine look like at night, Kellyann?
So it's something that I have picked up recently. Me and my husband got a sauna, and we love it. So we spend some time together before bed. We go in the sauna, take a shower, read for a couple minutes, and then go to sleep. It has been amazing. I would say that ever since using the sauna, my sleep just really has improved.
How long are you in that sauna for?
About 20 to 30 minutes.
I love that.
So my husband, who's probably going to listen to this, is just we're getting a sauna.
Now that the weather's cooler in the Northeast, it's definitely sauna season here.
Yeah. So let's talk about, I'd like to just kind of double click on journaling for a minute. So for women that just haven't done it, and it's new to them, where do you even start? So you get a book, you get a journal, you get your pen, you put it by your nightstand. What do you even write about? What do you think?
About your day, your life experiences. What are you thinking about right before you go to sleep? I think one thing, and I see lots of patients, one thing that I hear repeatedly is that I just have such an active mind. I can't quiet my mind. I have this to-do list that runs through my head, and I'm thinking about it and I can't turn it off, or I'm thinking about all the things I have to do tomorrow, the things I didn't get done today that are carrying on until tomorrow. And I think if you could write that down, embody that in paper, and then close the book and go to sleep, it's just one way of kind of putting that to rest and restarting for the next day. I would recommend just writing about how you're feeling that day.
Yeah, for me, it's just such a download. If there's something that, I write about anything. If something was bothering me that day and I just felt like I just need to get it out, because I always tell my children, better out than in. So, I also have a therapist that I speak to that I can download to, but I think it's so important for us people that don't go to therapy, can't afford therapy, that this is just such an easy way to be able to get the thoughts that are always in our heads that we're just bogged down with out and onto paper. I love it. I do really love that.
Yeah. One other thing. So again, fun tips, easy ways to keep your brain sharp. Our verbal IQ is a really good proxy for our cognitive reserve, or how bolstered up we are against neurodegenerative changes later in life. And one way, of course, to boost our verbal IQ is through reading, but another way is through learning new vocabulary words. There are lots of fun apps that you can download that'll give you a fun word of the day that may be applicable. It would be great if you could start using these words in your journaling or in your everyday conversation, just to help kind of boost that cognitive reserve in such an easy, simple way. That's one fun tip.
When I was a kid, vocabulary was my jam. That was my thing. And doing my little note cards, my little vocabulary note cards, and then I'd put them under my pillow to learn them. That was when I was a little kid, I was a big vocabulary girl.
I'm the opposite of that. Our youngest daughter, Evelyn, who's 10, and her dad had the most incredible vocabulary. The words that I'm literally searching them up. What does that even mean? How does she know these words? But I think that could be very hereditary. They just have this knack for vocabulary. But I love that, because I really do feel like I could expand my vocabulary. So thank you for that tip, even just in general.
Yeah. And, I often tell a story. I've done a lot of work in product development. And when I first started earlier in my career, I came out of advertising, and then I went into this really kind of hardcore product development environment. And I'd sit in these meetings all day and I'd have no idea what anybody was talking about. And I'd meet all day and I'd Google all night, because I'm so habitually curious. So I'd go home and I would just Google all the things that I had no idea what they meant. And it really was great. I love that learning and kind of digging in. If you don't know something, just taking a few minutes, and now we have so much access with our phones, in real time, we can understand what something means. I love it.
And challenging yourself in that way is so important. I think, I'm kind of in a little silo of medical doctors, and we speak some language and we all understand what we're saying, but someone listening to that conversation probably has no idea. I was at a tech conference a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about AI and all these things. And I was like, wow, this is probably how people feel when they're listening to doctors talk. It's just such a different world, but it just embracing that and really trying to understand that is such a cool, novel experience for your brain. And again, we're thinking about simple ways to challenge our brain and keep ourselves sharp with age. that's it. Challenge yourself to do something that's not in your comfort zone.
Kellyann, okay, should we switch gears over here?
Yeah, let's do it.
So what are you not making time for that you're going to commit to making more time for today?
So I have to say that, as we talk about stress, everyone has stress. I definitely have stress. I have a lot of personal things going on with my family. And one thing that I used to find really helpful was doing a nightly meditation practice to wind down. I'm thinking of ways to start incorporating that into something I'm already doing. So thinking about that sauna time, putting a nice meditation on, I think it's so important. And it's one of those things where, a lot of people say, like, I just can't meditate. It just doesn't work for me. And I think consistency is key there. And once you kind of fall off, you do lose the benefit of it and you have to get back in your routine and practice again. So meditation is going to be my to-do for the coming weeks.
I really like that because, I think it's, for me, when it comes to brain health, my top priority is sleep. Like, I'm now a terrible sleeper and I really try and prioritize that. But, it is really important. Like, how are you winding down at night to then be able to get 6, 7, preferably, my God, could you imagine 8 hours of sleep would be incredible. But I think that is important. I think that meditation, I was just saying this to you as you were saying that your heart rate, your resting heart rate is high. I think for a lot of us it is. And it's just, how do you bring that level down so that you can have rest to start your day with energy and optimism? And
I was just telling Emma that I've been listening to kind of meditation music in the car, because I'm always on calls and I'm going. And even today I was like, oh, should I call when I was driving over here? Like, should I call people on the East Coast? And who can I connect with right now? And I was like, so for the last couple of weeks, I'm like, just put on some meditation music, in my going to and from, to just bring it down a little bit.
Take a minute. Make time, Helen. Make some time for meditation music.
Emma, I love how much you care about sleep. I think that, everyone hears about how important sleep is. And as we all are so busy, we think but I also have to exercise and I also have to meditate. I have all these things. How do I fit all these things in? And there was actually a study not so long ago that came out and it showed that getting poor sleep negates the benefits of exercise. So if you haven't slept well and then you go exercise, you really aren't doing yourselves any favors. So just think about that. I really do think the sleep is a big deal. We need to be well rested in order to take on additional stress, and exercise is a form of stress. And while it's so beneficial for our health, it could be harmful if you aren't really ready to take that on.
Well, it's funny because on this Oura Ring app, when I see that I'm not sleeping well, the first thing it says to me is, today you should take it easy. And I'm like, I can't take it easy. But it's because I didn't sleep well. So sleep is very important to, get your day going in sort of a positive and have a positive snowball effect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to me a lot because I'm really athletic. And so when you really feel like you need a recovery day, it's really important that you take it. So I'm aligned there.
Kellyann, thank you so much. I love this conversation with you. Can you tell our listeners how we can find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok, Dr. Kellyann Niotis, and visit me on my website, which is www.drkellyanniotis.com.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on, Kelly.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure to make time.
Love it.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope that listening to our podcast has empowered you to make more time for yourself. So make sure to subscribe, please leave a review, and share with a friend who could use a healthy reminder on the importance of making time.
And make sure to keep tuning in as we will continue to bring on incredible guests to share their Make Time tips on our upcoming episodes. And come say hi over at Make Time Pod or visit us at maketimewellness.com.
Until next time, make time.